Hey everybody, welcome back to the Court of Random Opinion. My name is Lauren Neidigh. I'm here with my friend Schnitzel Ninja. And this is like a very informal thing we're doing tonight. We have like one thing I want to go over, and then I just want to kind of have a conversation about some of the stuff around this case that we've all been following for like almost 2 years now? I mean,
Yeah,
a while.
I found out about it in September of
Mm.
23.
Yeah. And I don't know how my sound is. I'm downstairs on my laptop today.
You
So
sound
it's like,
great.
well, I mean, not to you, I mean to them. you know.
Is it different?
Well, yeah, sometimes in StreamYard you can hear someone clearly, but when you watch it back, it's like, oh, you sound like shit. So, I
Well,
mean, that's how I usually feel about your recording. Yeah. So,
should I turn my gain up? Hello.
whoa. You'll notice behind me, my family and friends wall has no pictures on it. I am not a loser. My pictures are on the floor. So since I don't usually stream down here, I'm like, well, that's sad, isn't it? But no, I don't have any nails. We got to work on that. So there's a bunch of pictures on the floor. I swear to God, I totally have at least one or two friends, not including you, because you can't be in pictures because you're a breaded piece of snack.
Just put this picture up.
Yeah, I'm gonna pass on that. That might be a little confusing for any visitors I might have, which will not be in the near future. But it is what it is. Hey guys, sorry, I'm seeing some people. Oh no, I'm gonna ignore that chat. I know you know what I'm talking about. All right, so there's something on the Instagram I do want to go over because I thought it was pretty interesting before we kind of get into this discussion. But if you don't just want to like hear us yap back and forth, definitely leave now because that's what most of this is gonna be. I don't want to hear later about, oh my god, you guys are just talking. That's what this is. I'm not gonna shut the fuck up this entire time. So there's no breaking news here. It's just two friends talking about something insane. So let me pull up. I'm just make sure really quick that I'm not accidentally displaying my fucking DMs on this. I really miss my upstairs computer, but I can't use it till tomorrow. So, okay. All right. S is the live that Omar will join is going to be later. So it was supposed to be later, but I just got word from Omar. His kid's in the ER, so we're actually going to have to do that either tomorrow or another time. As far as the Brian Friedman letter, because I'm sure that's what some people are going to ask about, I'll do something about that real quick after this is over. But it's not going to be with Omar, unfortunately, because he does have to be with his daughter right now. So, yeah. Okay. Can you guys see that well enough? I mean, can you read that?
Yeah, it's well,
I
it's
mean, you
clear
don't
on
have
my
to
end.
read it. I don't. Yeah, I was. I don't literally mean read it out loud. But so
No,
this
it's
is from
clear,
the.
yeah.
Okay, this is from the Justice for Clayton Instagram. It's like explaining the charges, the felony fraud charges. So we're gonna go through that. Here they are, and they're gonna put some clips and pictures in here that kind of explain everything. Count one: Laura Michelle Owens, on or between May 17th, 2023, and June 10th, 2024. Pursuant to scheme or artifice to defraud, knowingly did obtain a benefit from Clayton Ray Eckert by means of fraudulent pretenses, representation, promises, or material omissions. Okay. So they say here the statute requires convicted offenders to pay restitution to victims for any economic losses resulting from the crime. All right. Laura intentionally falsified a document, a sonogram. Which one? No, I know what we're talking about. With the intent to defraud between June 27th and July 11th, 2023. Okay, and then it says count two, Laura Michelle Owens, intent to defraud, did falsely make, complete, or alter a written instrument to wit. And then here's the totally real sonogram.
What is it? 10,000% real.
I thought it was like something million% definitely for real.
Million%.
Yeah. Anyways.
Was there anybody that else?
Hold on. Poor Josh looked like an idiot in this hearing. It's not his fault.
Yeah.
Because she didn't tell him everything before that all popped up. And still, that went in her favor. This is ridiculous. Count three, Laura Michelle Owens, on or about October 25th, in regard to a material issue and believing it to be false, did make a false sworn statement to wit. testifying in front of Judge John Duty, who lived up to his namesake, that she had not been intimate with anyone else since March 2022. That's the one that I think we read, and I was kind of like, wait, what?
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, we'll let this play.
Other than Clayton that these unborn children could belong to?
No, I hadn't been intimate with anyone else since March of 2022. I was violently assaulted and raped, and I have.
Ma'am. And that's why we're here tonight, is I want to talk about stuff like that, which is the reason that so many people are invested and kind of offended by all of this. But I don't want to get into that right this second. But I also don't want to listen to her talk about how she was violently assaulted and raped or whatever, because we all know that's not true. So, move on to the next one. Count 4, Laura Michelle Owens on or about March 1st, 2024, in regard to a material issue and believing it to be false, did make a false sworn statement to wit, claiming that sonogram issue was hers during sworn deposition. Okay, yeah. This is where she said like she did not actually get it at SMIL or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Planned Parenthood Mission Viejo.
Is it SMIL or SMILE?
Smile.
All right, I was saying SMIL for the longest time, and I just decided I'm going to spell it out.
Locals call it Smile.
Yeah, all right. That's from the deposition.
Insane in her lawyer.
You all know who that is. That's Dave Neal. Count 5, Laura Michelle Owens on or about March 1st in regard to a material issue, believing it to be false, did make a false sworn statement to wit. Video clip of father touching pregnant belly. Yeah, and nobody ever really believed that was that was her.
They're still saying, yeah, I know it's a bad look. She did that, but it doesn't mean she wasn't pregnant. Well, then what does this mean? Then what are we looking at here? Do you know how special this moment must have been for her sister, if this is her sister, to have her father, who's getting treatment in the hospital and feeling ill, to rub her baby's belly, assuming this is her father's first grandson or granddaughter? I don't know. Apparently
they're all in on it, so it doesn't really matter, I guess. But it's interesting. Like I haven't seen Dave, obviously, with the shorter hair in a long time. I was like, wait a minute.
It feels like eons ago.
It's like 7 years ago.
Yes, that's me.
Oh, I know.
Showing.
Hold on. Laura committed perjury by falsely stating under oath, that's me showing my pregnant stomach. Count 6, Laura Michelle Owens on or about June 10th in regard to material issue and believing it to be false, did make a false sworn statement to wit, claiming that's me showing my pregnant stomach. And we went through with the graphic designer who wants to remain anonymous, go through those photos and show the shadowing that showed how it was edited and the distortions in the door frame. And do you remember anything else that was on that?
In the bottom of the door too, I remember.
Right.
Yeah.
Lots of weird stuff going on there. Not to mention, just kind of looked like to many people who have this similar issues, gluten belly. So, it didn't really track. This didn't really prove anything to anybody, but she, maintains it was her pregnant stomach.
Yeah. And she, Mike has said that she told him that she was like gluten intolerant. I don't know if it was necessarily celiac disease, but that she couldn't have gluten. And then she stuffed in her face for 6 months or however long with Domino's pizza.
Well, yeah.
From depression from this whole thing. And like, this is around the time.
We were on the same diet for a while there.
So she's actively eating, even if this isn't that, like she's actively eating something that she's already claimed before that she can't eat, but maybe that was a lie too. She doesn't know how to tell the truth.
No, clearly not. Or knows how to, but won't. I mean, if she didn't know how to tell the truth, she wouldn't admit it in a deposition that she changed the header of that ultrasound.
That's true.
We always tell people, this is not a crazy person. She's just a diabolical psycho. And
she's not crazy. She's just psycho.
No, she is. So I like to say that she's not psycho. She's not psychotic, right? She's not psychotic, but she is fucking crazy. I mean, let's be real. There's nothing you can say to convince me that she's not a little fucking warped. Because you don't do that to people. You don't try to pull this off if something's not off with you. But at the same time, it's not something that kind of relieves you of responsibility for your actions. If you are a delusional person, you're psychotic, and you truly believe what you're saying, you don't do the things that she's done. You don't have your family do the things that they've done. People are in on it. It's not a disease. It's not a crippling, disease that makes you handicapped because of your
Right.
mental health. It's just like you're just being a bitch. You're trying to ruin someone's life.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a little crazy, but I wouldn't call it clinical.
Yep.
You know, I mean, technically yes, but you know what I mean. Like it's not
Right.
clinical, like a clinical psychosis. It's not like
She's choosing to lie.
yeah,
She's
it's not.
she's not forced to lie
delusion.
due to a mental condition.
You don't hire someone from Fiverr to you fabricate an ultrasound for you if you're delusional. You don't change the header of a document if you're delusional. You don't carefully choose your words to make it sound like you had a doctor's appointment, but you actually didn't if you're delusional.
Right.
Those things don't happen by accident, you know, unless you're sick and you really believe them. So yeah.
Yeah.
And then of course, when it comes down to it and when she can no longer deny it, then she admits to it, which is a telltale sign that you never really believed it in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's see.
My pregnant stomach. Yes, that's me.
And you can still see the distortion in the door frame over here on the right, even though it's a small image on my computer screen right now. Like it's obviously fucked up.
Hilarious.
What are you doing? I didn't even notice that in court because Scott and I don't know, most of you probably heard this story by now, but Scott was running most of the camera stuff. He had a production company out there, and so he saw lots of equipment, and he graciously offered it to me that day, pretty much the night before. And so we went in there, and I was just running the laptop, and he was running the camera. But his camera thing, like it was like running out of space on the memory card, and his other memory card was in the Velcro bag, and it was quiet in there, obviously, and like I was terrified to draw any attention to myself. And so I look at Scott, and Scott is like sweating. Scott is like sweating, and he reaches down, and we're both just like sweating because we're so nervous. And he like reaches down. We've never been, I don't know about Scott actually, but I've never been in court before like this. I mean, I've been in court as an observer a long time ago. But he reaches down to get the memory card out, and he's just like slowly, it's like that scene in How I Met Your Mother where they're at the fancy art museum and Marshall's Skittles start falling out of his pocket one by one during the moment of silence. Okay, but he starts pulling up the little Velcro thing, like little by little, and I'm like, Scott, what are you doing? And so there were things like this that I didn't notice while the trial was going on because I was so focused on trying not to get kicked out because I was like so paranoid. I've never done this before. I've definitely never been a media person before. I didn't even know they were going to let me film the thing until a week before the trial or something like that. Maybe less than that. And so I was just like, do not get me kicked out. Do not get me kicked out.
I wish I could have seen that.
Yeah. No, it was obviously I have a lot of anxiety around new experiences. So it was just kind of crazy. I was like, I don't know. I can't even describe my state of mind while that was happening. It was almost like it's a blur. The thing that I remember the most was Mike and his wife were sitting right behind me. And when we had a break, well, the first thing I remember is the media guy came over and said, dude, you can't film while the judge is off the bench. And then the second thing I remember was Mike and his wife introducing themselves. And I remember I was thinking, oh, this is, you're such a, nice guy and all that. Because I never actually spoken to him, obviously in person. I've heard his story. I had heard some of what he had to say via Dave and Megan, but that was the first time I ever spoke to him. And I was just like, dude, I feel way better now. I don't know why. I think it's because I was like all alone in that corner off to the side with Scott and our sweaty hands and our Velcro bag. I could not have done that without Scott. Absolutely not. No, that would have been a train wreck. Yeah. So I wonder if he'll probably go to the criminal trial, but yeah. Anyways, so a lot of this stuff I just didn't notice when we were in the room. It's like it was right there in front of my face, and it's just like I was in a different universe where I was panicking about Velcro. So yeah.
And let's look at A.
Laura tampered with video evidence of her belly, by destroying, altering, or concealing it with the intent to impair its use or truth in a legal proceeding she knew was pending or imminent.
7. It's a similar video. Did you take this video yourself, or it looks like you're obviously not holding the camera, but what you put on?
Yeah, I put it on the
She's totally not pushing her stomach out right now.
stand. Yeah.
You took this video. Do you remember the date of this?
October the 9th.
Okay. I don't know if it even showed anything there, but it's real short. Okay. And let's look.
Okay.
So
that
October
obviously that was
9th is
another-
the date of a police call she did.
Is it? Okay. Which one
Yeah.
was that? Do you remember?
Let me look up my channel.
Was it Clayton, some other dude she claimed to get her pregnant, or a content creator across the country? Because there were a lot of those.
Let me see. I'm checking. October 9th. This one. Oh gosh, I'm gonna have to listen to it for a second. Wait. OP has been served to Greg Gillespie.
Yeah.
Here, I'll send you this link real quick. You don't have to do anything with it, but in case you're curious.
Okay. One sec.
Scottsdale Police.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's only 3 minutes. We can check that out in a second. Let's see if we can get through this.
I didn't link those two dates before until just right now.
Okay. Let's see.
Former Bachelor star Clayton Eckert speaking
I
out.
think that was
Her-
it. That was it on that. So let's go to this police call real quick. We'll play through that.
Hi, I have two questions. I was wondering if an order of protection was served, is my first question.
What's the address? Is there a unit number? Yeah. Just 1 sec.
Hold on. Wait, what did he say? 1 second. Let me turn that up on my computer.
Yeah.
Did he say shit?
I thought he said, let's see here.
Okay, I heard it. Shit. So confused. I'm gonna play that one more time for good measure, just because I like to amuse myself. You just try to see the world my way for a second, yeah?
You got it.
Yeah.
Shit.
Shit, 1 sec.
I mean, that's what I'd be saying too if I picked up the phone and with fucking Laura Owens on the other end.
Wow.
Wow, this is a slow burn. Sure, that is vulgar.
Yeah, I got it granted on Friday.
If you scroll down, there's a
Do you
description.
know there are
What's up?
If you scroll down, there's a description of what the call is.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you over the officer swearing. Laura Owens calls the Scottsdale Police Department. Who is Schnitzel Ninja? Calls the
yeah.
Scottsdale
What a
Police
bit.
Department to ask if an OOP has been served and to report an OOP violation. Re Greg Gillespie.
So it must have been Clayton's OOP to be served, and then the OOP violation with Gillespie.
So glad we're combining these things. I'd be surprised if she didn't call the police on his wedding day, by the way, after the fact when she found out. I mean, she probably knew before any of us.
Yeah.
She's a creep.
the last name by any chance?
Yeah, it's
Sir.
Eckerd, E-C-H-A-R-D.
Eckerd, ECHARD.
Take a quick look.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
As she's stuffing her face with dominoes to prepare for the video.
God damn it. All right, so we pretty much know what's going on here.
Yeah.
And that brings me to one of the things I wanted to talk about. Is David likes to harp on his videos, blogs, whatever, about how people were mocking these police calls. They like to say that these were staged police calls. Well, the ones that where they sent people out to her house, at least. Not that one in particular, but there's lots of police calls. You have them on your channel. There's at least 2 or 3 wellness checks.
Mm-hmm. And one by the FBI. Yeah.
Correct, right. And so they always conveniently leave out the fucking Federal Bureau of Investigation, send someone to Laura's house, and they're like, oh, JFC did this as a joke. Like, no, your client contacted the fucking FBI, and they sent someone to her house because she sounded like a fucking lunatic. Wow. So, and then the officers in that wellness check strangely enough, that was not the wellness check where they failed to check on her. So they did actually get in contact that time. For some reason, it mattered that day, but not enough that other time. That made me so mad. And they seem to think it was like a joke, kind of, to me. Like they kind of knew this was bullshit. And then, Jan was there, Laura was there, and the dog's peeing on the floor in the background. And of course I start cackling at that. And then David Gingras is like, see, look, they are mocking Laura. They're laughing at her. I'm like, dude, the FBI called people to come to her house and there's just a dog leaking it all over the floor in the background. Like, how do you expect me to react to that?
Yeah.
So yeah. But there was that other call, which came from somebody anonymous, and that, to my recollection, came either immediately after or shortly after she made a threat of self-harm on the internet, openly, with her name, or at least alluded to suicidal thoughts or self-harm. And of course, that's the one where he likes to point out and be like, see, they're laughing at her, because I was sitting there like incredulously watching that footage, which I don't even know how you got that, but I was watching that footage on your channel, and I was like, holy shit, these cops are idiots, because they didn't even check on her.
Yeah.
And so I remember sitting there more than just like that incredulous laughing. I was just like mad. So you do your fucking job. You record it. You record what happened. Oh, so you need to know that like she called, or she caused someone else to call with suicidal threats. You showed up at the house, and it was a false flag. That's something that needs to be recorded. You need to lay eyes on this person and say, this is definitively what happened. So in the future, people know what to expect. People know what level of care to handle this with. So if they were to come up to the door in the future and she were to say the same thing, they could say, this is a pattern of behavior. I can see the other reports from the officers who previously spoke to her when she was claiming to be in a state of distress, and she clearly was not. And this is a pattern. It's not an acute crisis. Versus now you have no fucking idea, because you didn't actually go in the house. You didn't actually talk to her. You listened to some old lady with chocolate tell you that everything was fine and that all these other people are crazy. And then you left.
And they gave Jan the caller's phone number.
That's right. I forgot about that. No, that's absolutely not okay. I mean, doing that only basically just guarantees that people are going to be scared to come forward in the future with what could potentially be life-saving care. So you call in the wellness check. They go and check on the person. What if she was, bleeding out on the inside of that door? What if she had taken an overdose? What if she had done any number of things that she has threatened to do in the past?
Or the mom had done something to her and was hiding it, and that's why she didn't want her to come to the door. I had a friend who we did a wellness check on because he didn't show up to work one day, and they went, and unfortunately they found him deceased. But then it makes me think of this, like if they had just knocked and been like, oh, I guess he's not home, and left, like how long would he have been there, Yeah.
Right. I'm sorry to hear that.
Thank you. It was a while ago, but like
Still,
4 years ago. But yeah, that was terrible.
Yeah. So obviously nobody, I feel like people understand the kind of depth and seriousness of these things. I don't see anyone really calling wellness checks as a fucking joke. Yes, when I look at the actual footage and I see that this person clearly was not in distress and she's finally being caught for that by the FBI of all people. I think that's a little funny. I'm not going to apologize for that. So she and her mom were sitting there talking about, we emailed the FBI, but I'm fine. I emailed the FBI and said I wanted to kill myself, but I'm cool. It's all good. So I laughed at that. Not going to apologize. I would apologize if she was in serious distress and I was wrong and laughed at that, but it's clear right in front of my eyes when I watch that what happened.
Exactly. Yeah, and I love how surprised she was that people actually showed up, and then she was like, oh shit. Fuck, what am I going to say?
Cuz you can fuck with random people. You can fuck with random citizens enough that they'll stop calling. But if you do this to the authorities, then suddenly they have to pay attention.
And those guys did a great job, I thought, interviewing and checking.
Yeah, and they clearly didn't think that it was a serious matter.
Mhm. And they asked, they were like, okay, we just want to make sure, like, you're saying everything's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, that's how it should be. If in an ideal world, cops wouldn't go out on these calls by themselves. Like they would have like an LMFT, LMHC, anybody really
Mhm.
licensed with them to
It
go on
poses
those
a
calls
threat
with
to them if they don't have backup and something happens.
Right. So you can't do that. And I see lots of people saying the police shouldn't handle these matters. And I'm like, so what would you do if, like, so say, take any cracked out ER patient I've ever seen who came in handcuffs because they were trying to stab random people on the street. You know what I mean? Or like people who are like off their meds and they're schizophrenic and they think people are after them and they're screaming and running around and threatening people. Like, take any of those people. You don't just throw a counselor out on their own to talk to that person, because if you're not in a state of mind, like a coherent state of mind, if you're not thinking rationally and stuff like that, you don't send a lone counselor. I'm sorry, I know lots of people like to think that it is, but words are not enough. Sometimes you need a little bit of force to kind of help someone into a position where they can get the help that they need.
Mhm.
As much as I wish it wasn't the case, that is true. So, officers do have to be involved. Mostly my issue is like, I wish that we could have both, but the resources are so stretched. And I think that's largely in part, and this is a obviously biased personal opinion, because I work downtown with a really impoverished population where there's lots of co-occurring substance use, and there's not enough people around to help get these people what they need.
Mhm.
I think that people who make shit up like this and who cause people to have to spend 30 minutes to an hour at their house because they wanted to make a point by emailing the FBI some stupid shit, I think they're the reason we don't have as many resources as we need in the places that they are needed.
Mhm.
So you send 2 cops out there to like waste time at her house. How many other people are waiting on the police to help them?
Right.
So I don't know. I take that in a way that's like, I'm not personally, but in a way that's like, it irks me because
Mhm.
I've seen so much that could have been prevented by faster care or faster intervention, and
Mhm.
it didn't have to end that way, but it did.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that is because of shit like this.
Mhm.
So it sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Patty Cat says, unfortunately, police are involved with mental health issues daily. Things escalate when they have not had help. Yeah, no, I totally agree. That's what I'm saying. Like, the police can't just not be there. Because think about it this way. My entire family's in psych. I'm in psych, but I'm the only person in my family who like didn't want to go through all that schooling to get licensed. This is not it's not my passion. It's just like something I kind of fell into. I was like, okay, yes, I can do well here. I can make a good living for myself. And it's not that I can't make a difference. It was just not my passion. It was not my choice. It was just sort of like I was forced to make a decision about what kind of job I wanted. So when I think about my family, who are like licensed practitioners, my mom and my sister, they're licensed counselors. My dad's a forensic psychologist. So I think about any of them who I've known my entire life, and I know all of their capabilities and how smart they are and how caring they are, compassionate, and just like everything good that they can do for people. But you put them in front of somebody who's that sick or who's fucked up on some kind of drugs,
Right.
it's not going to go well. It's not going
Right.
to end well. Mm-mm. You're going to lose more good people that way. So
Yeah.
yes, the police have to be involved. I wish they did not, but that's the case. So
It's just like an unfortunate, like, it just has to be that way kind of
Yeah.
thing.
hmm And for all the training you do, all the years of school, everyone you see and feel like you learn about how to help them in a positive way and make a difference. It's like if you put someone like that in front of someone in crisis mode, it's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
It really is like 2 different situations. So you have like licensed mental health therapists, they can go and do their thing, but they're used to people who come, well, most of them are used to people who come to the office and they're like prepared to get better, they're prepared to get help, they know what they're getting into. But you throw them out in the field, and then all of a sudden that person who's like having a crisis is like, who are you? What do you want from me? Who sent you here?
Yeah, and it's unpredictable, which
Right.
is dangerous.
Yeah. Sorry, my mom texted me. I guess I haven't answered her today. Give me one sec. Speaking of,
She's like, "Did you send that letter to the FBI yet today, honey?"
I sent it yesterday. They never came. Tired of house calls, I guess. All right. So, anyways, that I'm done rambling about about that. But this is just like one of the many things that I feel like touches a lot of people in like a way that makes them invested in this whole situation. It's like, how many people have ever been in that situation where they needed help and couldn't get it? How many people have been in that situation where they needed help for a family member and couldn't get it, or they've been in danger and they, had to wait however much time for the police? Or how many people have actually felt suicidal and needed to get help and felt like they couldn't because they thought someone wouldn't believe them? Especially people with recurring issues, when you constantly feel like you have to ask for help and you become increasingly embarrassed because it's like, well, they're never going to believe that I'm still dealing with this. How many people have been through like sexual abuse, sexual assault, the things that she's claimed to have been through, and needed the resources in place that she exploited. And
even those lawyers who she got
Right.
for free, they could have been working on another case.
I always forget about that. Can you just explain that for a second, just so people kind of catch up to speed?
Yeah, I'd have to look at the name of the company, but basically when Laura filed her DVRO against Mike Maricini in 2018, she got free representation from a company. Trying to look at it here. Anyway, I can try to find it, but yeah, from this company that gave her 2 lawyers to represent her. And Mike paid $50,000 to his lawyer and she paid $0 to try to tackle that whole thing. And then his lawyer gave him the advice, this is going to cost you an extra like $15,000 to $20,000 to try to fight it. You should just sign the thing, deal with the year or 2 years. I think it was 2 years initially.
How old were they around that time when this all went down in court?
They were, let's see, Mike was, how many years ago was that? 2018, 7 years ago. So he was like 30, 31.
Okay.
And she's younger.
I'm gonna say, how many people that age in this economy have the means to defend themselves with that kind of money? You know, what I
Right.
mean?
And I'll without going into detail, I'll tell you he didn't really have it.
Yeah, that's fair.
It affected things for him.
Yeah. And then, I mean, maybe people don't really understand how much, depending on how, especially in this situation where she was obviously very vindictive with her kind of use of this restraining order, even when he did nothing wrong. How many people can really tell it's going to cost me so much more in the long run when this woman, tries to renew it against me and gets me fired from jobs, maybe? And because didn't he say in his interview with Megan Fox that he had issues with employment because of that?
Yes, because it shows up on his background check and he can't own a firearm, for example, which I don't know if he does or doesn't want to, but that right is taken away from him. He doesn't have a choice because of false claims.
Let
I
me.
sent you in the private chat the link to the.
Yeah, it's loading up right now. Let me share it real quick.
It's just right at the top of it.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Oh, did I send that one?
Which one did you send?
I meant to send. Oh, you are on that one. Scroll down. Sorry, scroll down to what page? Page 11. There, Tara and Alicia at the top. The Cooperative Restraining Order Clinic.
Yeah. Okay.
So those were her free lawyers.
That's fucked, dude. I don't really know. I don't know if you have any more insight into this because you know more of the ins and outs of this specific, case than me. Because you've done lot here, obviously, like gathering footage and all that with just all of these. So, thanks for that. I don't think I would have had no idea how to do half of what you done. So,
You know what? You just Google and try to call numbers.
Is that like the yellow pages?
It feels like it. I mean, you get transferred sometimes to like six different people, and then you're finally.
I still have a phone book, man. Yeah. No, come on. It's not that simple, though. I mean, you have to be patient and like request all these things and all that and keep track of everything. It's not like it was like one or two things either. You've been obviously juggling dozens of things relating to multiple cases and tracking down shit from years ago. It's like, make sure you give yourself a little credit. Because if you could just Google shit, then I would have the answers to everything.
Well, it takes time. And I think I mentioned before that my husband said, like, hey, when are you going to be done with this stuff? And I was like, I can't answer that. Because
later.
Like, how do you answer that question? She's never going to stop. So, like,
sometime later. Yeah. Well,
crazy. But yeah, those are the people she got for free. Then she got it renewed again in 2020. I thought the date for renewal in 2025 was July 10th, but apparently she's written in a Medium article that it's September 11th, 2025. So I'm sure she knows better than I do. I'm sure she keeps track of it very closely.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm not sure. I mean, I'm not sure she does anything else for a living. So
literally nothing else.
AKA the cat lady. Do you think Laura might be legitimately suicidal once these charges really hit her and she gets the implications? Look,
No.
I want to preface this with I can never say 100%. I can never be in anyone else's head. There's always that tiny, tiny chance. But when that tiny, tiny chance is divided by the number of times this has happened, no. Especially look at the wording of that press release. No. I intend to fight this every step of the way. Does that sound like someone who's about to end it all to you, or does it sound like someone who's planning for the future? Just saying.
And I mentioned this before too. Romantic people were not the only people she threatened suicide to.
All right.
Like her friends. If she basically her MO is if she can feel someone pulling away or she feels that she's losing control over something, that's what she threatens. That's her go-to.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes people feel guilty and it makes them feel bad.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, with I do feel like it's maybe because I've been in this like little bubble of mental health for so long. I do feel like it's more common than a lot of people realize, but that's also because like when somebody makes a threat to hurt themselves, they're banking on you. People who don't mean it. I'm not talking about people who are legitimately suicidal. I'm talking about people who with like certain personality disorders and stuff like that, where this is like a reflex and it's like a defense mechanism. And they're like, this is how I'm going to draw this person back in. This is how I'm going to get the heat taken off of my behavior. And they're going to stop paying attention to what I did wrong. And they're going to start thinking about how can I help you? People who make suicidal threats, a lot of it's just for the purposes of maintaining a relationship that obviously is toxic, and the other person's starting to realize like this is not healthy for me. This is something I need to get out of. I can't give you what you need. But when it comes to life or death, what choice do you really give people? Because anyone is going to at least question that. You might be so fed up with it or so used to it at this point where you're like, I can walk away. But there's always going to be a time in the beginning, especially of these toxic relationships, where you don't know what to do because it's like, well, all of a sudden what I do is going to impact the course of the rest of this person's life, whether it's they're going to end it right now if I leave them, or they're going to be okay if I stick around. And so they don't necessarily feel the need to call professionals at that point and stuff like that, because they're like, well, I don't want to get them sent away or something. I would feel guilty for that then I would feel bad. And so it kind of reinforces that behavior. Then it continues, and then eventually I see tons and tons of people being brought into the hospital in handcuffs, and I'm having to walk over and talk to them in the middle of a crowded ED where people need beds and people need help. And they're sitting there like, well, my boyfriend was going to break up with me.
Okay, Laura.
Right? No, my boyfriend was going to break up with me. I'm like, okay, well,
You need a
So-
Xanax.
No?
And then leave.
Yeah, no, and I don't obviously don't present it that way, but in the back of my
Yeah.
mind, there's always that thought, like, so fucking what? Like, you have to keep living with your life. But no, it's like my boyfriend was gonna leave me, and I'm like, okay, so you felt so devastated that your boyfriend was gonna leave you. You thought that your life wasn't worth living anymore. Your life was over. Like in that moment, you're like, I'm just gonna end it all. And then 75% of the time, those same people will be like, no, I just knew, he would pay attention to me if I said that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and people, don't want to believe that. But honestly, when it comes to like Baker Acts coming into the ED and stuff like that, when it comes to those specific situations where it's an interpersonal relationship that's causing the problem, and it's a recurrent visitor to the ER, more often than not, that person is not truly suicidal. It's a habit. So,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I probably lost my train of thought there and just like word saladed some, but
That's fine.
I don't know. But anyways, I'm just thinking about that scenario, especially when she was like sitting in the hospital telling Mike, "Oh, I'm in the hospital now." Like, no. If you're in the psych hospital, they take your phone away, they give you the socks.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't get to do that for a little while.
It's so ridiculous, and the whole thing, that whole time where she's like, "I'm gonna have to like put my phone away. Like the doctor's coming soon. What do you think about this?" It's like something she posed about their relationship. I can't even think of examples, but so like she's looking for him to say yes or to affirm her feelings, and then he doesn't respond because he's like working or maybe with friends, and she's like, come on, like you have to respond now, like they're coming, like no, I need your response now, like, and it's 40 minutes later, and like it's just so obviously like she was not there.
Yeah. Drunkest Turtle says suicide baiting as manipulation is the lowest of the low. Man, yeah, and it is unfortunately way more common than people realize. So, because like I said, once you kind of turn that behavior into a habit, if you're still with the same people, it's like they become more and more used to it. All of a sudden, those people who are making these, threats that are unfounded and they don't really mean it, are also, like they're getting used to using that as a mechanism so that when they finally do, get broken up with or whatever, and they have to go form new relationships, they're clinging on to these same habits. They're clinging on to these same behaviors where they're going to be like, well, you need to be with me or I'm going to end it. So, yeah.
I was with a guy one time. I was in Italy and we were dating, went there for something and got in this big fight. And it was always, there was always something like that he was upset about. And so he was like pinning me to the floor so I couldn't.
I'm still here. I'm just going to turn my camera off a second.
Okay. That happened fairly often. In this place we were, there were no doors that would lock. There was a bathroom door, but it didn't lock. So anyway, it got to the point where there was like a balcony. I may have told the story before. There was a balcony off the back door where we were up like on the second floor, and he was hanging himself off the balcony saying like, I'm gonna jump,
Jesus Christ.
into it. And I remember it was in like the kitchen off the back of the kitchen, and I was just sitting at the table with like my head in my hands just thinking, well, I was thinking in the moment, just do it, please. Then I won't have to deal with this anymore. But I didn't know how to handle that situation. So I just sat there in silence. I didn't know what to do or what to say. Like I didn't want to enable him and be,
Yeah.
But I also like,
what's the
wasn't going to say
alternative?
do it,
Yeah. No, what's the alternative though? You
Right.
accidentally push too far the one time they mean it.
Mm-hmm.
And how are you really supposed to know? Because especially when we are looking at someone that we're personally involved with and we know on a very personal, deep level, it's like you're way more invested and it's harder to see things objectively. And even if you are seeing things objectively, you're going to question that because of the emotions that are involved. So it's very, very complicated. Hi, Dave, by the way. Dave is here. Did they lock up Laura yet? Not yet, dude. Not yet.
Not to our
Eventually.
Soon.
Yeah. I mean, let's hope so. Sorry, I was fixing something real quick. Let me fix this. Got it. Wouldn't want you to not see my bear friends and family wall back there. That's just one way for me to say I'm alone.
Well, I will say when I saw it at first, I was like, "Oh, it's like the pictures like on the shelf."
No, dude,
below
those
it.
are just those are just framed pictures. I have actual pictures that need to be hung up there.
Wait, what I would love is those were frames from the store, and you like never took the store picture out.
You know, that's still an option. Still an
See if
option.
anyone notices.
Yeah, right. Equestrian events in the prison yard. It'd be more like pool chicken, but without the water. You know? I don't know. Maybe she can play with Lori Daybell or whoever. You know?
Tips and
Is
tricks.
Jodi Arias still in the jail?
I don't think is she? Yeah, is she?
She'll probably make lots of friends. No, I'm just kidding. She's not gonna go to the same place those guys are, but still, it's pretty funny to me. Because you earned it, because you tried to pretend you were crazy so long to torture people, and I think it would be hilarious if you ended up actual crazy. It's a little dark in my brain. Sorry, guys. Anyways.
She's Arizona State Prison Complex in Perryville. Jodi Arias.
Yeah, totally. That's what I was gonna guess. Yeah. Something called Perryville.
Perryville.
What is that, like the Paris of prison?
It's Paris prison in Arizona.
Yeah, all right. Should we do daily burritos during the trial? Maybe we do a post-show recap every day. Man, I'm gonna follow your lead on that.
Daily burritos? That would be intense.
That's a lot of babies. Oh. You know what? I'm gonna say there's at least several of us who shouldn't do that. So maybe something else. I don't know, dude. But whatever you decide to serve up, I'll hang out.
Different fillings every day.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure you and I will both be there too. So, maybe something gluten-free. Yeah, no burritos in the van. Yeah, no, I wouldn't give Bruce burritos in the van. Where is Bruce?
That's hilarious.
I don't know what he's doing tonight. All right,
But
anyway.
you have a super chat.
Oh, hang on. There's like 3. One sec. Just Ricardo, thank you for the 2. Hi, Lauren. Hi, Schnitzel. Hello, lovelies in chat. Hello, Ricardo. Thank you for joining us. Angela Quinn, thank you for becoming a member. I appreciate you. And also, thank you for the 5. I'm so proud of you two and Bruce and Dave, but you are heroes. I have so many friends who have been tricked into this. Thank you. But also, like, you know, I have a hard time thinking that it's like, I don't know. I don't know how to take it. Yeah. Anyways, I accept your compliment. I try not to be too gung-ho on myself, you know? Yeah. All right. Well, thank you. Appreciate that.
You're pretty damn awesome.
Don't talk to me like that. It's gross.
Make me not
Leave me alone.
talk to you like that.
I don't want to talk to you right now. All right. Anyways, there's one more thing I wanted to talk about, because this is something that's been coming up recently, and you guys all in the chat will probably know I'm into the Lively Baldoni thing, and I know lots of people who follow me from this case, and who also just know me from Dave. Thank you again, Dave, because I try to plug Dave every time I can, because Dave is the reason I got my start here. So those of you who follow me for this case a lot of you don't listen to the Blake Justin stuff, but in that case, whether or not you agree with me, I just want to bring up a specific topic. The Violence Against Women Act has been cited in a couple places. And I remember the Violence Against Women Act being cited in this case when David Gingras was talking about Mike Maricini. What do you remember about that? Was it which part of the proceedings was that?
I don't remember, to be honest.
I just remember that being specifically brought up because he was talking about the California restraining order or order protection, whatever you want to call it. And I've just been thinking, because I'm going to say something that sounds terrible, but it's the truth. When I look at this case, I'm not talking about Blake or Justin. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about this specifically with that domestic violence, protections against Mike Maricini, who wouldn't hurt a fucking fly. When I saw David write about the Violence Against Women Act, I rolled my eyes and I was annoyed and frustrated. And that stuck with me because I thought I really just rolled my eyes at like something in place to protect women who have been brutally raped or assaulted or otherwise hurt. And that's something that if my younger self was looking at me now would see, the younger version of me that went through those things would look at me and see, I'm afraid to come forward because of this, because somebody's rolling their eyes, because somebody's not believing this. But obviously there's the nuance of this person has made a lot of false claims. And I know in my heart, knowing Mike now, and knowing what Laura has done, knowing Clayton, knowing Greg, that she's not telling the truth. But I can't help but think, 18, 19-year-old me was scared for my life and what would become of me if I continued to stay in the situation that I was in, would think if she saw me now rolling my eyes at that. So that's where it kind of pulls at me. And that's why I can't let this go, I think. It's very hard, and I don't love to talk about that, but at the same time, I see a lot of parasocial reasoning for a lot of things that people say, not pointing to anyone specific, just lots of gossip, sometimes lots of just random speculation and stuff like that. And I think because of that, people who are only vaguely familiar or outside of all this will look at that and think, oh, that's a bunch of crazy people. That's a mob. You know what I mean? And it's not necessarily fair because they don't know the nuances and the ins and outs of all this. And the reasons why people, talk about the gossip and the reasons why people think those things. And it's not because anybody's crazy or obsessed or just unbalanced. It's just there's been so much shit. But my thought is if you're kind of on the outside of all this and you haven't been part of the small group of people who've been paying attention this whole time, I'm worried because what are you going to see other than a bunch of people with pitchforks, And that's what 19-year-old me would see, a bunch of people with pitchforks. Because I would see that immediately and I would run the fuck away. I wouldn't look into all of it. I wouldn't want to say oh, let me look into what all happened and was she lying and all this. I'm just going to say I'm afraid. I'm scared. I don't know what to do. So. And that's not my favorite thing to talk about because it's not funny. I can't, there's no way for me to make fun of that. There's no way for me to make light of that. There's no way for me to relieve the burden of knowing what that feels like.
Yeah.
So, and I know you and I have discussed briefly. Obviously, you've kind of been through some stuff too. So, I feel like we kind of relate on a lot of this stuff. So, yeah. It's been a hard time between both cases and being very immersed in that. So,
what do you think you would now say to your 19-year-old self?
It's I know what I would say to me now, but I also know that the version of me who needed my help would have never had the courage to talk to me or take it. You know what I mean? Assuming I'm trying to think of myself as a different person here.
Yeah, that's hard. I know.
And there's just no way to remedy that other than to, make sure that people who don't tell the truth and people who try to exploit this are going to be put in their place, because then it's yeah, not anybody can just get away with this. And if I'm telling the truth and there's a shot in hell that I might get a little bit of justice, that I might, something might go right. But unfortunately, that's not the world that we live in, I feel. So.
And just someone like Laura abusing so many things
Yeah.
that we're alluding to, or lying about so many things that other people have actually been through. She's just making it harder for other people, even if this didn't go like super public, right? And didn't get picked up.
Yeah.
She's still making it harder for people in Maricopa County.
Yeah.
Or any court that goes by a finding that was in Maricopa County, and a lawyer use it as supplemental evidence or a case that they're citing. And you know what I mean? So just the fucking audacity of her to think that's okay. Like she was probably never told no. She probably got away with fucking everything, and she felt invincible and didn't want to lose control. Didn't like it when she lost control. Didn't like it when she was told no, and had no boundaries as far as how far she would go to commit to her con.
Yeah.
And it's despicable.
Yeah. And I want to believe there's a way past that, but I'm not sure what it is, which is also what makes this so difficult.
I mean, I think I know what my opinion is. I'm not saying it out loud for her.
I mean, you could, because I don't actually know what you're saying right now.
I'll tell you after.
All right. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. We can keep that
Probably
quiet.
should not be said out loud on this stream.
Because you don't want other people to hear it, or because you're worried about YouTube stuff?
Oh,
both.
No, it's a little harsh. But I truly believe that it is the only way she would ever stop.
All right, we're getting to the same page now, I think.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that out loud either.
You can't help people who don't want to be helped.
No.
You can't force them into help. You can't force them into treatment.
No, you can't. No.
So, I mean, men are going to keep being men, and they're going to keep fucking women, and they're going to keep maybe not researching or not knowing they need to research or not, whatever. That, like, those situations are going to present themselves to her. I mean, I guess eventually she'll get old enough where she couldn't bear children. Even like 50-year-old women have babies sometimes. So, like she's
forever.
Yeah,
forever.
Even in prison.
When she gets there, she'll start lying about her age.
Right. Right.
Well, Dave puts up a good point here. She went from undefeated to winless once JFC came to be. That's definitely true.
That's true. And like, thanks to Clayton, and thanks to people make fun of me for saying Clayton instead of Clayton. Anyway, thanks to Clayton and Greg Gillespie and Mike Maricini and everything they've done, and their Woodnick legal team has done. Anyone coming across her, I should have said that differently. Crossing paths with her in the future.
No more babies, please.
But just they have these rulings now. Even whatever, maybe she does 6 months, maybe she does 3 years in prison, maybe she doesn't do any. I don't know. But if this happens to someone again, they have all of this to cite in their case. So, I mean, what they've done is monumental in, protecting the potential future victims.
Yeah. Man. Somebody, oh God, that's a good point. It will be taking cancer or MS or whatever. Yeah, she'll be faking that too, I guess. I mean, she did fake cancer once. What's to stop her again? So, yeah. Man. Another thing is, like, when we were coming across all of this stuff, when all this was coming out, I remember thinking, like, holy shit, like, I can relate to so much of this stuff. Because, like, I think you and I have talked about this, and I definitely talked to Dave about it, because Dave had me on his show a long time ago. And I was talking about my ex who had faked brain cancer. And so it's like, there's so much of this stuff that it feels like deeply personal.
Yeah.
And also listening to her lie about all of these things, it makes me feel like this is too much. Why would anybody believe anything that I say when I'm like saying all these things? It's like, that doesn't sound realistic. That doesn't sound like nobody's going to deal with all that crap. Nobody has all that crap come up and they're not they're telling the full truth. So like that, is also kind of it's like a. And no, it's not a personal attack. I know that's a lot to say that, but it feels deeply personal.
No, for sure. And like that's what really from the beginning, like again, a lot of the stuff that she's claimed I've been through, and to then kind of real so you maybe in a way even empathize at the beginning and think, wow, like someone's been through all this too.
Yeah.
But then you find out they're lying, and yeah, it's like, who the fuck are you to claim all of this shit? Like none of this happened to you.
Yeah.
How dare you to all the people who have been through those things?
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
fuck off, bitch.
Man, I feel like we're getting a little bit of role reversal here. Big Johnson, I truly don't think she'll understand she lost until she gets jail time. I agree with that. I don't care if she's in jail for like a week. I know that obviously to most people that's going to sound like, well, that won't do anything. I disagree. I think that the only way to stop somebody like this is to trap them in a cage of their own making, force them to look at what they're doing and say, what can I do? You know, how much, even though it'll be like, how much can I get away with in the future? But you have to stop on some level. You have to stop because you don't want to go back into that cage. So I don't care if it's 7 days or 7 months. That's the only way to make someone reflect on those things, in my opinion. So.
Yeah.
And I've said this before, I'll say it again. Our jails are overrun with people who need longer term mental health care, and our mental health facilities, because they are like 72-hour crisis facilities, they're overrun with people who need to be in jail or need to be in a substance abuse facility. And it sucks. And it's fucked up, and it's a huge destructive cycle. And I'm not sure it'll change in my lifetime, but I will be damned if I don't complain about it. So, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, the whole system's kind of broken. It's not operating as it should.
Right. Dave says she's so rudderless she may enjoy the structure. Hey man, I don't know. I don't know if she's ever had that. I mean, she'll have a job in prison, in jail. So,
but it might give her it might give her some purpose that she's never had in her life before, like a schedule,
also, like friends.
Yeah. People like a roommate who's not her mom.
A consistent therapist. You had to go sit in those round circle chairs at least a couple times a week. Yeah, do it. Do it.
Can you imagine her like people are like, oh, what are you in for? Like, what the fuck is she gonna say? The world's against me.
Well, yes. That's what's gonna happen.
No, I'm just imagining like if they go around and like, people like, what are you in here for? Like, what is she gonna tell the truth? What is she gonna say?
No, she'll lie. Because that's how it works. But eventually when you lie and lie and lie, somebody in jail is going to be the type of personality who's going to force what you did down your throat.
Literally.
It's not going to be the therapist. Somebody's going to like walk up to you and be like, hey, you're the freak baby lady. And I'm going to give you a giant, I'm trying to put it into politer terms here, guys. I'm going to give you a giant wedgie until you tell the truth.
No, they're gonna be like, I looked you up. I know what the fuck you did, crazy lady, or whatever. Like that's what people are like.
Yeah. Did I ever tell you about how one of the first jobs I applied to out of school was prison guard?
Really? You would be good at that.
No.
I think you would. I think you'd bring like the levity, but like the appropriate seriousness.
Fuck that. Well, because the
not that you would enjoy it. I just think you would be good at it.
Well, the problem was the pay was shit and the risk was so high.
Oh yeah.
And then also Lowell, this prison in Florida, and I think that might be where Sarah Boone is right now. I'm not sure. This prison in Florida, it's like an hour and a half from where I live right now. Maybe 2 hours. And I went down there and I was supposed to tour and I was supposed to interview. And I looked at the outside of it. And I was like, well, I'm a little bit early, so why don't I just Google some shit? Because I was never prepared at that time in my life for anything. And so I did, and I found this whole documentary about how Lowell Prison was like the most corrupt thing ever.
Oh God.
And I drove away.
Really?
I just ghosted. I was like, yeah, no, I'd rather be poor. Yeah. No, I'm all good. And then I went back to living in my parents' house for a little while.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Peace.
Yeah. No, I couldn't do it, man.
Oh my
Couldn't do it.
god. I don't blame you. I mean, that's a tough job that I'm sure not a lot of people want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, for all my talk, and I'm sure by now you know me well enough to probably know this. I let people run over my boundaries a lot. And so I just realized in that moment, I was like, this is not a good situation for anyone. I gotta go. So, no. Otherwise, I was going to become a pawn in the drug trade. It's going to be terrible. All for $30K a year in health insurance. That sucks.
And a couple of cigarettes as payment.
Oh my god, I don't even smoke cigarettes, and I would have taken it. I would have been like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna make you happy. Here you go.
Thank you.
This is like fucking Orange is the New Black World. The inmates are ugly.
Except the inmates are ugly.
And so are the guards.
Oh, come on. Don't even.
I don't know. What was that? Like 2017, 2018 maybe? I don't know. I'd finished grad school. And then I went out and I started my PhD program in New York. And that's when I decided I cannot be 25 and living in a dorm in New York. So I moved back home and I was just like, well, what's relevant to my education? So I just started applying to shit and I was like, well, I guess I'll be a prison guard. And then I figured out that wasn't a good idea.
While I was in the parking lot awaiting my interview.
Yeah, I don't think I've actually ever told that story.
That's so funny.
My parents, I think they asked how it went, and I was just like, oh, it's fine.
I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah, that was
god.
tragic.
Can you imagine if you had like gone in and gotten the job and did it?
We wouldn't be sitting here right now. I'd be wasted somewhere. I'm sure.
Oh my god. No,
Yeah.
well, I'm glad you didn't do it.
Well, then I also, oh god, here we go. I also, I did want to do JSO, which is the sheriff's office here once in a while, because it paid better. B, it was like, I'm not a prison guard. And C, I don't know. I just I always wanted to be in law enforcement when I was growing up, and I didn't change my mind until I became much older and better understood the social climate that we're in, and that even if I wanted to do that, it's maybe necessarily not a great field to be in. So, that was like shortly after I had applied to Lowell and all that, and so I went and I took the test and all that. I passed because at that time I could still do math. Not the case anymore, but. And then when I did I did everything except the physical fitness test. And
3 abortions plus 2 abortions equals I still have a baby in my uterus.
Yeah. Okay. Jesus fuck.
Well, she said with Mike, she said she had 6 abortions.
Oh, what?
Yeah, 3 medical abortions and 3 surgical abortions.
Oh, sorry.
That it took to expel the twins from her body.
Oh, see, I expel information out of my brain, so that didn't take. Sorry.
Didn't take.
Yeah, so I got all the way up to the physical fitness test, and I just didn't take it. I was like, you know what? I don't want to do this. I'm gonna do it. And in the back of my mind, I think I knew. I was just like, there is no fucking way I'm going to be a cop in 2019.
Nope.
Oh no, Dave said she expelled a 5-year-old on one of them. Yeah, I think we found that. I think Dave and Megan found that one.
Yep. Which is,
Speaking of
like
Megan.
once you see it, you can't unsee it. And that was just like so mind blowing that moment when they're like, is that a Fiverr logo on there? That was crazy.
No, I remember that. Yeah, because I was sitting at my work desk and I had my laptop on there and I was typing up a medical record review. I think it was like about an abortion procedure because like, I do a lot of those because I had to write the medical record recap and then send it to the insurance company and be like, hey, why the fuck aren't you paying these people? And so I remember I was like, it was either while I was watching that or it was right before. And I think I was still in training at that time. And they pulled up the ultrasound and they zoomed in on the Fiverr logo. And I was just like, oh my God. Should I include this in the insurance filings? No. Yeah. What happened after that, man? Not the Fiverr logo, but the oh no, that's right. I went to be a swim coach for a while. Yeah, so I just thought at some point in my life I should actually be a lesbian gym teacher since I already have the aesthetic.
No, but what a journey though.
No, yeah, I worked in journalism for a long time after college while I was going through grad school. And when I was coaching, I was also traveling the country to cover mutes and stuff like that. So, and then COVID happened and there was no swim practice. So I had to get a job, a real job. Like a real
non-in-person job.
Yeah. And so I decided, well, I should work with crazy people because that I understand. Yeah. Anyways, did you ever have a different career path in mind than I'm not asking what you currently do because I know you keep that private, but is there anything you ever like you almost took a wrong path and you were like, nah?
Not really. In high school, like I considered something else, but it was going to take mad math skills, which I do not have. I have simple math skills. It should have not ever been a forte of mine. And then I was like, it was astronomy. I was super into astronomy. And then I was like, I need to be good at math. I like thinking through like college, like I'm probably going to have a difficult time. Yeah. I wonder if I'll even get my degree. So, anyway, yeah, that was the other thing I considered, but nothing, outside of that. Like once I hit college, it was my thing that I do.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, if you're still confused or still not settled, they do have openings at Lowell Women's Prison.
Yes. Give them my resume.
Just saying.
Just with my name as Schnitzel Ninja.
Yeah, no, and if the corrections officer thing doesn't work out, I think Sarah Boone needs a roommate.
Oh my god.
Oh man. All right. I think let me read this.
my mind can't help but like think like what would that look like? That would be so terrible.
Which part? What
all of it.
Well, it would look like me until you got to the parking lot. And then I'm not sure.
I might go in like just to check it out. I remember going to like a state prison in high school in my psychology class. We visited this prison. Like it was a maximum, well, I can't think of words right now.
Maximum security?
Yeah. Maximum security prison. And we interviewed some of the inmates. I guess most of them had been like a part of this program in the past. And the one guy said that I know this is kind of a tangent, not really anything what we were talking about, but he said this was really interesting. And it's like, do you believe him or do you not? He said that he was at his parents' house. He blacks out, wakes up with both of his parents unalived in the back seat, and he's driving.
Yeah.
And he said he remembered none of it. But he was in prison for life for that. So part of our like task was to, ask certain questions and stuff like that, but also to decide like, do you believe this person or not?
Yeah. And
I don't know. I believe maybe that he didn't remember some of it, but I think he remembered some of it. But that was always crazy to, just get these perspectives from these.
No, inmates. That's interesting. Yeah, for sure. Somebody said, hold on. Where did that go? Oh, there it is. Lauren is cute, but only medium crazy. I reject that. I'm large crazy. And hideous, but thank you, I guess.
Laura Owens medium article crazy.
Always good to know the masking is effective.
You're a cutie and you know it. You have to say thank you and accept it.
No, go straight to prison. I'll be there as your guard. I don't know. I'm awkward with compliments. Anyways, I'm gonna focus on the medium crazy part of that statement.
Oh, look at Zach's comment. That's nice.
Which one? Dude, shut up. Well, Zach is a little confused because he also says, Lauren, did you know your anus is a gaseous giant? As if he didn't know that I regularly laugh at farts. So yeah. So thank you for your 17th stupid ass question of the night. Love you.
Citizen
All right.
chat.
Lauren, I don't know. I know my opinion doesn't mean jack squat to you, but you're pretty good looking. Oh, thank you. It means Jill squat to me. So I'll put it that way. Oh, somebody says, wow, Snitzel Ninja was that guy on psych meds before that happened. Had any of his meds recently changed?
That's a great question. I actually don't know the answers to that. And I don't even know if that was a question that was asked. That's a great question. Yeah. And you know, at the time, we in my psych class, we hadn't talked about like necessarily medications, but more like diagnoses and like I don't know, like the main one, like bipolar and schizophrenia and psychosis and all that kind of stuff, but not really like delving into like how, you know, what the treatment would be, like what types of medications and stuff. So yeah, I don't think anyone asked that question.
Yeah.
I would be curious to know. Maybe I'll go back and ask him.
We write it down.
But I've always been like really interested in why people do what they do.
Yeah.
And I think that's another thing that has drawn me to this case. And, you know, the other stuff, maybe initially, right, like got me kind of hooked. And then wondering, why does she, not just like she wants attention or she wants control or that, but like what makes her her? What has happened in her life that has led to this? I know it's not always nurture. Some of it's just nature, but figuring those things out as much as you can.
Yeah. So you could be in psych, or you could just be Joe Goldberg, whichever one you want.
Love that show.
Yo, did you watch it? The recent one?
Yep.
Without saying anything for people who haven't watched it, what was your feeling about the last season?
It was not my favorite.
Me neither.
I would say. I didn't care for the lead opposite him.
Oh, the chick, yeah.
Not the actress, but the character.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's kind of weird.
And I feel like it should have ended differently.
Yeah, there was just not a big payoff. In my opinion, after all that, especially after he like devolved into full crazy. It's like you got to have a big payoff for that, right?
Right.
And I feel like they kind of fumbled the bag because the second to last episode was what it should have been at the end. Well, it's just my opinion.
Oh, agreed.
All right, let's see. Just Ricardo, thank you for the 2. Thank you, Lauren. You are loved. I love you back. All right. Redondo Beach, thank you for the 5. Lauren, you rule. You're giving me the fire to fight. Well, it is midnight, so let's save it for tomorrow, hey? But thank you. Thank you for that. Purple Dragon Shield, thank you for the 10. I've been with this case from the beginning. You've done a great job. As for the Blake, Justin, not everyone's going to agree. Me, I'm just not into it. It doesn't mean I'd stop following you. Keep it hard. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And yeah, I know. Not everyone's kind of into that other stuff, but I'm trying to do both. So it just, this really slowed down for a long time there. So
it did. And then it just popped right up like, hey,
yeah,
gonna take up all your time for a couple days.
Hey.
Hey. Hey, it's me, Laura Owens.
No, if you were Laura Owens, you'd be farting on the phone. I'm Brett from Ravgen. Anyways. I'm gonna go now.
Dumb things. So funny. I love it. I love that that's like a part of this whole thing.
The fart thing?
Yes, because it's also like,
man, if Patrick hadn't said anything, none of us would have ever known. Where is Patrick, by the way? I'm talking to him.
I
I'm gonna text him.
think he has been doing some family things and getting life settled in some ways.
Because he moved. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all I got for tonight, guys. Unless you have something else on the agenda you want to bring up.
No, I'll just say, like, I obviously am not a lawyer. I wonder if there is anything they can find on her lovely mother to bring charges against her for. I'm just really curious to see what all the discovery uncovers and how it's all going to play out.
Yeah, I agree. All right. I guess we'll be seeing you guys soon, probably. I don't know, but I mean, the arraignment's on what, in like 2 weeks?
29th.
Yeah, so I'm getting to Sydney. Let me think, because I leave LA on the 28th from LAX at like almost 11 p.m. And then when I get to Sydney, it's 2 days later, but it's 1 day later here. So it's kind of confusing. So Megan was like, "Do you want a multicast?" I said yes, but then at the same time, I might be on a plane, so I'm not really sure. I mean, what a bummer that would be, but at the same time, it's like I'm not gonna knock it on my plane. So,
Right.
yeah. I'd rather miss Laura's arraignment than my flight. So.
Can you imagine?
Honestly,
Oh.
yes. I thought that.
Hey, maybe she'll show up early and you won't have left yet.
Yeah. Pay for in-flight Wi-Fi. Hey, man, we'll see. I will try. I'll make an effort, but I don't know if the plane Wi-Fi is going to be strong enough to hold Laura's arraignment. I might just blow the thing up over the Pacific. I can't believe this is actually happening. No. Yeah, I would disturb everyone else on the plane. Probably get arrested by a marshal. Then my arraignment could be next.
You're like, but you don't understand.
She lied.
She lied.
I swear. All right.
Oh,
I can provide you Wi-Fi in LA. Oh, yeah, but I'll be in the sky, bro. It's a little different. I don't know if live streaming works on the United Airlines. Actually, in fact, I'm gonna say it doesn't. But I will be there staring at the frozen screen if I have to. Yeah.
You got a super chat sticker.
Oh, did I? Oh. Wheat Toast, thank you for the $3 super sticker. I like toast. Cool. Your profile picture has butter on it too, so I mean,
it's delicious.
I'm in.
I'm imagining it's vegan.
Boo.
I'm imagining it's vegan.
I'm imagining it's vegan. I gotta go.
Me too.
Bye, everybody. Thanks.
Bye, guys.